about to go live.
Sure.
All right, we are live. So welcome everyone to our weekly wellness sessions for musicians. My name is Francesca. I am the chair of the Puerto Rico Flute Symposium Wellness Committee. And especially exciting, we have figured out the live Spanish captioning on our videos. So I hope that you're all able to see this. We'll check in on it during the live stream, but we're really excited about this. Sorry it took us so long to figure this out, but this is really going to be great, and we're especially excited to use this for the symposium this summer as well, which if you have not heard more information about it, go ahead and check out the Puerto Rico Flute Symposium Facebook page. This is the page that we're streaming on. If you look back at last week's post, there was an announcement. There's going to be more information coming soon. So we'd love to have you all participate at the live Puerto Rico Flute Symposium and the Collaborative Piano Institute, which Jessica might mention here in a second. So I'm joined by Jessica Koebbe. She is the director of the Puerto Rico Collaborative Piano Institute. She teaches piano at Mid-America Nazarene University, and she's the founder of mindfulmusicpedagogy.com. So today we're going to be talking about seated postures for meditation, but also for practicing as well, because it's important to find a really comfortable upright position where you're not experiencing any pain. You feel really free while you're practicing both meditation, sitting at your desk if you work at your computer, or also practicing if you practice sitting down. So I'm going to turn it over to Jessica to just say a few words if she would like about the Collaborative Piano Institute, and then I'll start with cross-legged positioning.
Yeah, so our both of our groups, the Puerto Rico Flute Symposium and the Puerto Rico Collaborative Piano Institute, will be having a simultaneous virtual conferences this summer, June 12th to the 18th. And fingers crossed for next year that we're live in Puerto Rico next year. We will be having a week-long session of master classes, sessions. We'll do a daily wellness session like this with many of our guests that we've had previously, but also some new faces. And we'll be doing a daily feature spotlight on Puerto Rico, as well as guest artists and various presentations, workshops, and concerts. So we're so excited. And yes, you can find out more information on the Puerto Rico Collaborative Piano Institute Facebook page, or Instagram_PRCPI_ or PuertoRicoCPI.org.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. And I just briefly checked, the captions aren't on the Facebook Live. So we will try this again next week, but there is actually live captioning going on. If you look at the information on the description, you can log on to streamer.center with the credentials we've provided, and you can follow along to the live Spanish translation there as well. So we will keep working on that. And let's get started. So the first position that we are going to demonstrate, and I'm going to back up a little so you can see me, is seated meditation position, or just seated cross-legged position. So this is the most standard position that you might think of when you think of someone that is meditating. And there are some people that aren't able to get into this position, and that is completely okay. I'm going to show you some modifications that you can use if you would like to explore variations on this position, or if you maybe if you experience any back pain, I'll talk about that briefly as well. But what you'll do, and this is going to be kind of like an experimentation process. So if you're able to, you can start just sitting flat on the ground in a cross-legged position. And for some people, this feels perfectly comfortable. For a lot of people, it doesn't. So if you are feeling very uncomfortable in this position, or if you're not able to get into it, I have a couple props with me. I have just a blanket, a folded up blanket. I have 2 throw pillows, or you could use bed pillows, any kind of pillow. And I also have a bolster. This is not required for meditation, but this is what I have personally found that works for me the best. So I wanted to demonstrate that as well. So if you don't feel totally comfortable in this position and you feel like a little boost might help, especially if you're getting any back pain, I've found that bringing your hips above your knees especially helps in relieving back pain specifically, and how much height you need will really depend on your body. So you could start by experimenting with just a folded up blanket and just placing that underneath you to give you just a little boost. And for some people, this might feel totally comfortable. So if it does, and you feel like you can stay here for a long time and feel free, then you're welcome to just use the blanket. If you feel like you need a little bit more height, you can try the same thing with a throw pillow. Even 2 throw pillows sometimes if you need. And then my favorite is using the bolster. So I'm going to go ahead, and there's no graceful way to do this. So I'm just going to demonstrate sitting on the bolster. And this, for me, works the best because it really brings my hips above my knees. If you have trouble getting your knees to kind of like settle in this cross-legged position, there's a lot of people that can't move their knees past like here, which is totally fine. I invite you to also take 2 bed pillows and place them underneath your knees and just really get as many props as you need to comfortably rest your knees so you don't feel like you have to strain them in this seated position. So you're welcome to use as many or as few props as you need, and I really encourage you to just experiment and find out what is most comfortable for you. So I'm going to turn it over to Jessica, and she's going to talk about seated positions in a chair or on a bench.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, and as Francesca mentioned, there are several positions we're not mentioning today, some for time's sake and some just because maybe they don't so directly apply to how we would sit at our instruments. But and as you can tell, we're both in different locations today. I'm at my piano, and then I also have a chair there where I sit when I'm teaching. And so I thought I would show a couple of different postures, or the seated posture at a couple of different positions. So the first is if you are an instrumentalist like Francesca, and you're finding yourself often in a lovely folding chair. Sometimes we get upgraded and get one of those like little padded chairs, but they're often not great. But so you're in a rehearsal, or you've been practicing standing, but you're ready for a little bit of a break, or you're a pianist that does not have an artist's bench like this one. You want to really take into consideration the position that you're in. So for this one, hopefully you can see, the main thing is you want to be comfortable and you want to have as many points of contact and support as possible. So, but while still maintaining a long back, a long straight neck, ears over the shoulders, kind of a posture, so that this whole torso, lungs, back, this is all supported internally as well. So you're developing good stabilization muscles. And part of that is sitting so that you're actually not putting a large part of your thigh on the back of on the chair. You don't want to actually sit like this when practicing your instrument. And also when you're meditating, you don't necessarily want to be in this position because you can see that the alignment is completely out of whack. So my back is going this way, and then my head is up here, and then my neck and shoulders are tilted a little bit forward. So not an ideal posture for either meditating or practicing. But what you can do is just shift the chair back and sit on the front of it with your sit bones. And it might take a little bit to kind of figure out where that is. And really just putting your sit bones right here on the edge. And when you do that, if you can put your hands on the back of your back, then you can feel that when you do that, those lower back muscles can free and disengage. And so that's what you really want. You want to have your feet really firmly planted, flat on the floor, and a comfortable enough width that you're really stabilizing yourself for whatever movements you might need with your instrument. but also feeling fully supported. And in that way, you can have nice alignment of legs and back. And then if you're needing to play a flute or violin, you have that flexibility and mobility to do that. If you are seated with a chair that has a back and you have a long session, bringing a pillow is a great idea, because there's nothing wrong with supporting your back. It's just that you don't want to support it at the cost of compromising your posture. So if you have a pillow that you can use, if it's too squishy and you need a little more support, you might throw a blanket. I see Francesca and I have similar nice soft blankets, but then you can relax and let your back kind of rest for a moment and not compromise that posture. All similarly, if your seat is really low, you can use something to sit on to help boost your height a little bit. Or if it's a really hard bencher's chair, just having a little bit of comfort there is really nice. Yeah, especially when you're in those marathon rehearsals. So for pianists, very similar kind of idea, but if you've got an artist's bench, it solves a couple of problems at least. This is one of those that has, well, that my cats have destroyed, you can see, but it has a knob here to adjust the height. It also is cushioned and really, really soft. So that solves the cushion issue. But the other part you want to make sure besides the height is just the distance from the keyboard. You want to make sure that your feet are a comfortable width, but also that you're not sitting so far back that you're having to really reach and stretch for the pedals. So again, sitting forward, that allows your back to have a nice straight alignment. It also enables you to be able to pedal and to access the full range of the keyboard without compromising anything there. And I know we were talking about meditation, and then yet here we are talking about our instruments. But for me, even though we're not necessarily actively meditating when we're practicing, the act of practicing or performing is creation and listening, and an attempt on every musician's part to stay present, to allow all the notes that happened before to stay in the past, and to not anticipate or project what will be happening in the future with future passages or notes, but just to stay fully engaged in the present, really locking in on the pulse and the tune and paying attention to the sounds that are coming out. And when we're in a relaxed physical posture, or a posture that enables us to be open and to be listening, that just enhances that. We've eliminated tension, and we're just trying to replicate a really meditative posture in our bodies to then help our minds become at ease. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. So we can briefly introduce our next week's guest artist. And I also wanted to mention that at 6 p.m. today, Eastern, in about 45 minutes, the Latin American Chamber Players will be giving a recital. And that will, I believe that's going to be also live streamed on the Puerto Rico Flute Symposium page or the Latin American Chamber Players page. I think there was a post about it on the PR Flute Symposium page. So be sure to check that out. Because we love always supporting them, and the Latin American Chamber Players runs under the Diaz del Moral Foundation, which also houses the Puerto Rico Flute Symposium, the Puerto Rico Summer Music Festival, and the Puerto Rico Collaborative Piano Institute. So we're really excited about that recital, and we can't wait to hear it in about 45 minutes. And Jessica, would you like to introduce the next week's guest artist?
Oh, yes. So next week we will be joined by Dr. Meg Griffith. She is the flute professor at Texas Wesleyan University, my first college teaching position. And I didn't even know that until we started swapping information. So that was a really fun coincidence. So she will be joining us. Her topic is still to be determined, but she'll be discussing performance-related issues for flute. And so we hope you will join us, and we'll be putting out a poster about that this week, so you can grab the topic.
Great. Thank you so much. So we'll see you all back here next week. And we hope you have a great evening, and we hope that you're able to catch the concert at 6 p.m. Eastern. So we'll see you all soon.